Good afternoon, church. The topic for my nugget is let it out. Some time ago, a popular fad was if you feel angry, let it out. You take a rubber bat and you hit something as hard as you can. The theory goes, if you ventilate your feelings, you will get rid of them. If you hold them in, they will grow stronger. Sounds good, but of course it does not really work. Solomon reminds us in Proverbs 29, verse 11, a fool gives full vent to his anger, but a wise man keeps himself under control. Rather than venting the emotions and getting rid of it, we find it returns more often. Like a muscle we exercise over and over again, those feelings we let out become stronger too. The reason is deeply rooted in the very nature of human beings. You and I are moral creatures. We are to choose our emotions. If those emotions are wrong, we are to control not by what we feel, but by what we know to be right. When we choose to let out our anger or hostility, we are not getting rid of it. We are permitting it to master us. Studies have shown the importance of the mental picture which the subconscious holds. It is said that a man's life is dyed by the color of his imagination. The conscious part of the mind reasons. Whether the idea is true or not, the subconscious will react according to what it believes to be true. Modern behaviorists are not the first to realize that a man's action reflects what he thinks. The writer of Proverbs said, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he." That is in Proverbs 23, verse 7. Luke 6:45 also reminds us that a good man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh. Any change of an individual must begin on the inside. In fact, the only thing over which a person has complete control over is his mind. Our thoughts affect our feelings, which in turn affect our actions. Thoughts make the real person. Paul said in Philippians 4:8, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things." We know that certain emotions are not Christ-like, but to suppress these feelings is like putting a tight lid on a pan of boiling water. An explosion will, of course, occur. Instead of repressing antisocial impulses, we can conquer best by acknowledging and facing them. Sweeping undesirable feelings under the carpet only makes it lumpy. Once we pull our feelings from the shadows of the subconscious into the light of the conscious thoughts, it is much easier to evaluate them properly. The true secret is to prevent their formation from within. It is better to control a nasty temper and learn not to become vexed over trivial annoyances. Only when we realize that our sufficiency is of God, as is stated in 2 Corinthians 3:5, can we begin to master our emotions. Proverbs 16:32 tells us, "He that ruleth his spirit is better than he that taketh a city." When we fill our minds with the thoughts of our Master, then we can change into his image. Our minds are the soil in which the seed of our thoughts grow. Change only favors the mind which is prepared. How wonderful that in Christ you and I have a better way to deal with our anger. We can choose to do what is right and confess our sinful feelings to God and ask him to change them and us. When we do, God works his gradual transformation within us until we become loving rather than angry men and women. A man once remarked that he had a fierce temper, but he supposed that was his cross. He was told lovingly by his friend that it was not his cross, but his wife's, and it was his sin. Thank you.